Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at some of these coins, shall we? We're just going to mainly look at Bitcoin, I suppose, and a bit of an overview of the Bitcoin dominance, because we want to know what's going on with our altcoins. We want to know if we can dive in, or how long it's going to take for them to start performing. But for the moment, it's all about Bitcoin. So let's just bring it down to the old hyper trader, and we'll have a look. So this is Bitcoin on the weekly, looking pretty good. But the main story, I suppose, for the moment, is to be told on the daily. And so what we see here, this white line is the top side of the inside range of accumulation. So we've been saying since we broke down that we're likely to reaccumulate around this area. The inside range being between 33,000 41,000, and the outside range being at the top about just short of 50,000 to as low as 28,000. So breaking down below here would spark continuation, basically bear market likely, and breaking out above here would be super turbo bull market, maybe even straight into parabolic phase, who knows, but pretty good stuff. But for the moment, the price action still remains within a reaccumulation zone, right? So we're above the inside range now. This is the first time we've closed a candle and started a new body outside of the inside range towards the top. So given that, I would expect this to mosey on up towards the top side, which is about 49,000-ish area. Not immediately. Let's stand back and recognise what we're looking at here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I suppose 9 in a row. 10 green candles, generally. So you would really be looking for a pullback at some point, given all this. I mean, we technically had it yesterday, to be honest. It was bought straight back up. So I mean, look, when you're reaccumulating, the whole deal with accumulation, especially reaccumulation, it can be really tedious, painful, very hard to trade if you're doing leverage. I mean, really hard because it's choppy. Because the moving averages, even though that on the 4-hourly they're looking nice and all turned up and going into a very clear uptrend on the 4-hourly. That needs to transfer over to the daily to have really big continuation, and then the holy grail would be to reclaim the 20 weekly, which is around about, we'll say 45,000. Reclaim that on the weekly, so 45,000 reclaimed, and then things should start to look a lot better. So for the moment, we're still reaccumulating. So I mean, this whole reaccumulation zone is you know, it's kind of played out to the way I expected it to, as far as my plan A was concerned. Plan A was, right, we have to hold this area. If we have a look on the weekly here, this is Bitstamp on the weekly, we have this green 50 exponential moving average, to which we've closed majority of it above. We had one candle below it where it's at that point where I said we have to entertain the idea that we could be entering a bear market. But then, as a bit of a side note, I said in the past we have always oh, this is a shame. I have to take that off. I've got this new indicator that someone's made on my Telegram chat, and it's really good, but it's not very good on log scales, so I have to take that off. That's a shame. Right, well, I'll tell you what, let's go back in time, let's have a look. So the idea is that the green 50 exponential is always held in bull markets in previous cycles. Always held, never gone below it until we enter a bear market, right? So that's always been the way it works. It's green 50 exponential, as you can see, all the way up, bang, 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 okay, it's bear market time. Then 2017... all the way up, never closed below it until closed below it bear market time. But this cycle has been different, and there has been every year that's gone by in this previous bull market since 2019 that we closed below it. We closed below it here for almost 6 weeks, closed below it here for about another 5 weeks, and we closed below it here for a single week. So I did say on a side note that, alright, let's recognise that as something that has happened and it hasn't caused a bear market. However, there wasn't a parabolic peak, and it wasn't getting closer to the end of what could be, time-wise, the bull market phase. Now, obviously this would be early if it did go into a bear market, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't, because bear markets are caused from a parabolic run where things become overpriced, essentially creating a bubble that pops. So we could have been looking at that, to be honest with you, and we still could be, as we've not broken on the outside range. So side note would suggest that, yeah, even though I was entertaining the idea of a bear market, which is a realistic thing to be talking about, closing below there, the side note suggested that, you know, in the past we have closed below there and it's not gone into a bear market. Anyway, let's get back to the daily here. So we're clearly above the green 50 exponential now on the weekly, and we're pushing into a more aggressive area of this accumulation. But I can't say that we're going to launch straight to the moon. I think this has been a pretty good move so far. From the bottom wick to the top, that's a 45% move, which is pretty good. And I suppose, you know, the entire time I've been saying to people, look, I mean, we accumulate in ranges, right? So I bought this range out ages ago. I mean, I'd fully loaded into this range from this last week. That was the last place I bought any, and the rest of the range was a lot lower. Now, I do have available tether that I'll be looking to put into, maybe whether it be Bitcoin or altcoins. And what we're going to be looking at tonight, I suppose, on the live stream is a lot of altcoin charts versus Bitcoin to see if we can pinpoint where bottoms could be. Because I've got available funds, but putting them into Bitcoin at this level, I mean, I've bought all this level out. This has all been accounted for, a while ago now. So I'm not looking to be buying any more Bitcoin. I'm all Bitcoined up, and I'm looking to sail this up until to wherever it goes, and alternate into altcoins when the time is right. And the time is going to be right for me at resistances. Now, it's interesting to see that we've already hit the center of this Bollinger Band, the 20 weekly on the Bitcoin dominance chart. So this would suggest that altcoins could have a little rally now, a little one, and possibly a full-on rejection on this would cause an alt season. Now, with the revival of the crypto market over the last couple of weeks, wouldn't surprise me if that sort of thing does happen. You know how people like to get excited, and I imagine every other irresponsible YouTuber and TikToker are talking about how Doji is going to be $4,000 or whatever it is that they start to talk about, and then people will be buying again, and they'll be buying recklessly. And then it's that reckless buying that does create, movements on the chart. So I'm not saying that we can't have a miniature alt season from here. I mean, this would be, I suppose, the first opportunity for some kind of, at least, alt rally. But a more significant area would be at levels of resistance. We spoke about this a couple of days ago, and there's a video if you want to have a look at it about how we use this chart. But that doesn't mean that altcoins haven't bottomed already, because what this does is this represents Bitcoin versus altcoins, and so we talk about Satoshi pairs. We talk about if your altcoin is going to outpace or outperform Bitcoin or underperform Bitcoin. That's all this means. It doesn't mean that it's not going to go up in value. It could. The whole market could easily trend as one, but Bitcoin slightly or more aggressively takes the lead, which it has done in the past and could obviously do again, especially at these low levels. It could easily happen. Now, and if the market dumps again, then obviously Bitcoin gets hurt, but altcoins get hurt even more. So there's a time and a place to look at this, and especially if you're an altcoin trader, you want to know if you've been dealt a good hand. And at the moment you've been dealt, I'd say, here you've got like pocket threes, you could win a hand here. It's a sneaky hand, but it's still a strong one if some more threes come down on the flop. But if they fail to come down, and someone else has got a full house or pocket aces or whatever, you'll have to wait to the next hand, which is going to be dealt around this level, 52%, 52.5%, which I think is a more realistic and likely area for a rejection, because we had a lot of support over here, and given the fact that the altcoin market is still pretty strong, to be honest with you, lots of people have got into it now, and crypto is a bigger place than it used to be, and people like altcoins, and I don't blame them. They make a lot of money, and so there is a lot of interest in altcoins, probably more than there's probably ever been. It's a more mature market, so to expect Bitcoin dominance to increase to enormous scale like it did in the past, into the 70s, I don't think will happen until there's an actual bear market. I think that's when we're likely to come up to there. When there's a bear market, we'll likely rocket all the way up to these levels, because altcoins get severely hurt in bear markets, and the market cap gets drained massively. So I'm not entertaining that as a realistic area. So I'll be looking at more or less the first levels of tangible resistance, which is 52%, and then perhaps maybe 56, 57, 58, 59, towards 60 anyway. And so that would be the next hand you dealt. So at the moment we've got pocket threes. You could have a little bet. You wouldn't want to raise too much, and then on the next hand, it's likely you're likely to have at least I don't know, pocket tens, and then maybe up here will be pocket queens, maybe. And if it launches further from then, I mean, you know, obviously you'll have lost a lot of hands, but yeah, I mean, the chances of you getting something like pocket aces is going to be a lot higher. Anyway, that's a bad analogy. Well, it's a good one, I'd say, unless you don't know how to play poker, and then it means it's worthless, really. But yeah, I mean, that's the deal. So Bitcoin in the outside range now for the first time of accumulation, so we're not talking moon territory, but it's a very, very good positive start. And like I say, if you join the Telegram tonight, we can have a look at, as we always do, altcoins, and I would expect the majority of altcoins to have already put in their bottoms, but that doesn't mean that they're going to outperform Bitcoin from here. But realistically, you know, when alts finally do come around to rallying, dollar for dollar, you probably will make more if you bought them here. The problem would be is that you'd be sitting around on something that's not performing, and it's just frustrating. And for me, I like to be on the better side of the trade. So I've been in Bitcoin, and mostly Bitcoin. The only thing I've been buying in this downtrend is Bitcoin, because the dominance was so low that it's obvious that it was going to increase. And we can see it generally across the board that Bitcoin is outperforming, not overperforming. It's outperforming altcoins, and I would expect that to continue at least for a short period of time. And then altcoins will then start doing their turbo rallies. But again, that's a sweeping statement. No altcoin is created equal, which is why we like to look at them individually, because each chart tells a story. Right, well, I'm going to leave it with you there, but I hope you have a nice day. Anyway, I hope you have a good weekend. If you want to join the Patreon, the links are in the description below. But if you want me to have a look at anything specific, you can leave a comment. I might get round to it. I'll generally only do it, I suppose, if the chat has got something to say. If it's just if there's nothing to say on it, I mean, there's no need to make a video. But if you join the Patreon, we'll look at them anyway. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.